guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Jocelyn, and today we're going to be talking about my newest hobby, skateboarding. So, excitingly enough, about like a few weeks ago now, I bought this skateboard from Retrospect online. It was like 50 bucks. Really pretty. I think it was the Alameda skateboard, potentially. Prior to when I bought the skateboard, I have never skateboarded in my life, like whatsoever. Basically what I want to do with this video was show you guys my first 10 days of learning to skateboard completely from scratch and all the different like tricks and stuff basically that I learned. I'm not just going to be skating around using it for transportation, whatever. I was like, I'm going to get a skateboard, I'm going to learn how to like do tricks and eventually take it to the skate park. Now obviously in my first 10 days I wasn't able to take it to the skate park right away, but I did do my best to like kind of learn a lot of tricks as much as possible, and even if I didn't master a trick completely, I want to show you like how far I got so you guys can see realistic progress and kind of see what tricks a beginner can do starting out. So if you're trying to skateboard for the first time, you have a place to start and you can try and become better than me. First, before we get into it, let me just say I didn't end up recording my first 2 days of skating because I took the first 2 days of me trying to skate and used it solely to actually like learn to skate. Like I did skate around my neighborhood, I skated down the street, and basically just got really familiar with how to push off, how to do all that type of stuff. If you are a beginner skateboarder and never done it, I highly recommend you take a couple days to feel out and like learn what skateboarding is. I decided to break up all the clips that I basically have by trick, and then I'll let you know like how many days I worked on that trick and also what day of skating it is, because I did bounce around to a lot of different tricks. Number one, the flip on. This like isn't even really considered a trick by people who are real true skaters, but it's fun, it looks very cool, and so would recommend learning it. Basically what you have to do is put your board on top of your 2 feet and jump a little bit forward so that the board flips up and then your 2 feet land on the board. When I first started doing this, I struggled a lot with getting my feet to land properly. So I did work on just doing it with 1 foot first so that I could keep 1 foot planted on the ground before I went to 2. But honestly, it's a really easy trick, and after only a couple days, I kind of mastered it. And it like looks really cool as a way to just like mess around, like kind of impress beginner skateboarders.
Y'all, before I tell you about the next trick, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel, because liking helps the algorithm a lot, and subscribing to the channel, you're going to get to see how much better I get at this in my first 30 days or first year of practicing skateboarding.
I also just wanted to learn how to ride off a curb. Obviously, when you ride off a curb, you're supposed to push up a little bit on the back of the board, like, so that it goes like this, and you ride off, so that when you come down, you land all at the same time. I like haven't gotten there yet on the board, even on day 10, but that's because I only practiced this maybe like 2 days total. So not a ton of practice on that front, but I do think it's something that's like pretty important. So I would recommend doing it early. The place where I was living and was practicing my skateboarding didn't really have curbs that made it practical for me to practice. And so in this video, I'm riding off the curb in the front of a house, which is annoying if there's people home. So I'm hoping to be able to practice more when I get curbs. Honestly, y'all, getting on the board in a way that's not just like hold it down 1-2 feet up, way harder than it looked. I wanted to do something that was like kind of cool, so either like be able to run and jump on it or be able to like drop it and jump on it as I go, so that like I don't look like a complete like beginner like setting the board down like before I got on it. My like idea, I guess, when I was starting out was to try and learn how to caveman, which is when you hold the board in your like front foot hand on the side, and then you like bring it under your left leg, because I'm left foot forward, and jump on the board and then ride off. So I was basically doing progressions of this, but like also just like a progression of this is just like a slightly more lame way of getting on the board. So that's what I learned. I hit the ground so hard. It was like the first time I hit the ground that hard in all of my skateboarding, and kind of messed up my leg a little bit. So you'll see like a little bit scratches there. Not great. Inconvenient. But after that, I decided to take it way slower and make sure I was landing either 2 foot at the same time or the front foot down a second before the first. So like, because if you land with your back foot first on the board, even if your foot is in the right spot, the board's gonna fly out from under you. The next trick I started like honestly pretty late in the game, like I only worked on this for 3 days, but it's the shove-its. So the goal of this trick is to lift up on the board and then push it back so it spins and you land on it like this. Seems theoretically easy, like I think it should have been a really easy trick to learn, but I struggled with it. It was one of those tricks where I literally like on my first day practicing, like 3rd time, got it. But I wasn't recording, so you can't tell. And I never got it again. But I got pretty close, so watch and learn. I also did some progressions on this a little bit, so you can see that. Next, hippie jump. So hippie jump is when you're riding along and then there's like a bar or something that you want to like get over. So you just jump with your 2 feet and then land on the other side of the obstacle on the board. This is so much harder than it looks because it's actually one of the first tricks you learn where you have to truly trust the board and your balance on the board. I worked on just like jumping up and down in place a whole bunch of times and then took it on the road, and when I started moving my feet obviously barely jumped at first, but they got a lot bigger as they went, and by the end, even though I didn't like try and do an obstacle or anything yet, but I started being able to jump pretty high. I'm just struggling to get the landing and then stick the landing and ride off. A lot of that is because I need to just go faster. When you're first starting out, it's a tendency to skate really slow, and then when you jump, the board stops moving. So I gotta convince my brain to let me go faster so I can jump and land in the same spot. So that's a future thing, but didn't get that far on day 10. And final trick, the Ollie. If you guys don't know what an Ollie is, it's when you pop the board, you slide your front foot forward, and then jump, and that causes the board to lift up. So it'll look like this, and you'll be in the air on the board. And you can do this in place or moving. I started by just doing progressions, so learning how to pop the board, because this is actually really hard, like something you wouldn't expect to be hard, but it's really hard to gain your balance of just popping the board. Then I would work into like pop progressions to try and just like practice the motion of the board. I also did a lot of like practicing Ollie footwork with no board at all, but I'm not showing you that because it doesn't look great. Then I went to the grass and I started to learn it. Going on grass is honestly an ideal way to practice because the board doesn't really move at all, which means that you're not going to pop and jump and have the board like slide out and end up landing on the tail and dying. I ended up getting it actually on the grass, which is huge. And so inconsistently am now able to Ollie on the grass, but once we move to pavement, less good, as you can see. Editing Jocelyn here, literally on day 11, I landed my Ollie unassisted, and that's like brings the whole video together a little bit, so I had to show you guys because I was not really filming, was filming for TikTok. So here is that footage now. And one more time in slow motion because honestly, like, I freaking did it! I know it wasn't that great, but super hyped, super excited. And also make sure you're following me on TikTok because I did post this way earlier, so you'll be more up to date on what's happening. Okay, back to the video. That is my 10-day skateboarding adventure. I tried to learn to hippie jump, to Ollie, to Shuv-its, to flip on the board and just get on the board, do hills, cool. Obviously, I did a lot. I put in a roughly, on average, an hour a day of practice. And so in 10 hours, this is how far I got. I think if I had stayed focused on just like one trick rather than bouncing around to all these different tricks, I would have managed to get something better, but I preferred having more to do and more entertainment. So that's just me. If you guys are first learning to skateboard, or if you guys remember how far you got in your first 10 days, feel free to let me know. I'm sure most of you will have done a lot better than me because I think I'm pretty cautious and was scared of falling, which definitely is not going to help me learn tricks faster or better because I'm taking it really easy. So I'd love to hear how far you guys got, and I'd love for you guys to challenge yourself to do better at every single trick I did than me in your first 10 days or first 10 hours of practicing. So let me know in the comments, and stay tuned for future videos that you guys can see how my skateboarding progresses. Thanks for watching. Bye!